By clicking on the Salary tab, we now come to the Salaries dashboard. On the dashboard, we find the month and the year for which a particular record has been created. We find whether or not the document is in use. Now, the significance of this lies behind the fact that, with StartSmart, you have the ability to create a number of accounts under your company. This tells you whether or not a document is in use by one of your users. This is important because when a document is in use, it can't be edited by another individual. The reason for this being we don't want double entry of information. We have the date on which the document was last modified. We have who it was modified by, so we can track the changes to the document. We also have when it was created on. You also have the option of either downloading or printing as a PDF document. Once the PDF is downloaded, you can choose to save it to your computer or print it out. You can choose to edit, and this is the means by which we enter an existing record, or you can delete. So to give you a feel for what a salary record looks like, I'm going to click on Edit and enter the record for the month of June. So what we'll notice is a spreadsheet-like document, and it will have details for employees for this company that I've created. So what we'll find is that I have 5 employee names listed. Here's our delete function again. So if you'd like to delete a particular row, you can go ahead and do that. But what I'm going to do is walk you through each of the items that I've entered here. So let's look at our employee, James Mensah. I have his last name entered here, his first name entered here, his social security number, and his gross salary. That is his salary before any taxes or deductions have been levied. We then have his back pay. Let's say for the month of May, I was not able to pay him his entire salary. As a result, I've carried over that amount, which is 55 cities, to the month of June. Now we come to the SNIT employee contribution. This is the amount which has been deducted from James's monthly salary towards his SNIT pension account. Now the reason for this is a mandatory deduction which has to be made. We then have the SNIT employer contribution, and what this represents is the amount that I, as an employer, am paying into his SNIT pension account to supplement his contribution. The 33 cities comes from my pocket, not from James's salary. Only the 14 cities comes from James's salary. The total of these amounts gives me my total SNIT payment for the month. I then come to my taxable allowance, and what this represents is an allowance that I pay to James monthly, which is subject to tax. For example, if I give James 20 cities a month to purchase phone credit for company calls, that would fall into this category. What I end up with is the total income, which is taxable. By scrolling down, I then get access to the horizontal bar, which allows me to move across the page. You'll also notice at the bottom of the page that there are numbers. These numbers represent totals for each of the columns that we've been looking at. For example, SNIT employer contribution. This gives me an idea of how much total money I'm paying out in terms of SNIT employer contribution. Moving back up to the top of the page, I now see that I have the income tax levied. This shows me the total amount of tax that is going to be deducted from James's salary. I also have my reimbursements and non-taxable allowances, which represent allowances which are not subject to tax. For example, if James takes a taxi to conduct some company business, I need to give him back his money, and that's not subject to tax. We then have net income. You'll notice that the net income amount is greater than the gross salary. The reason for this is that we've included back pay, as well as some reimbursement allowances and taxable allowances. So now I'm going to show you a number of other important commands. We can choose to add rows to our document in increments of 5, 10, or 20. And then to exit the document, there are 2 important commands that we have to perform. And this carries through for each of the records that we'll create. We first save, and then we close. So we're going to click on Save. And what's going to happen is that we're going to see a message at the top of the document. What this message will indicate is that the document has successfully been saved. Once we receive this information, we can then go ahead and close out of the salary record for the month. So here's the message that we were looking for. Changes successfully saved. Then scroll down to the bottom of the document again. And this will enable us to close out of it. So we click on Close. And this will bring us right back to the salaries dashboard. And if we've been able to successfully save and close out of the document, what it will tell us is that the document is no longer in use. It shows that it was last modified by us, the test client, and the date on which it was modified was Tuesday, the 17th of January, 2012. So now we're going to move on to revenue.